the shortcut. I was driving home from work, exhausted after a long day. The sun had set hours ago, and the darkness outside was only illuminated by the headlights of my car. I had been stuck in traffic for what felt like an eternity, and I was desperate to get home. That's when I saw it, a small winding road that cut through the woods. It looked like a shortcut, and I was eager to take it. As I turned onto the road, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The traffic had disappeared, and I was finally making progress. The road was narrow and winding, but I didn't mind. I was just happy to be moving. But as I drove deeper into the woods, I began to feel uneasy. The trees loomed over me, casting long shadows across the road. The darkness seemed to press in on me, suffocating me. I tried to shake off the feeling, but it only grew stronger. That's when I saw it, a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit the figure with a sickening thud, and my car screeched to a halt. I sat there for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. I was too afraid to get out of the car, too afraid to see what I'd hit. But eventually, I mustered up the courage to step out into the darkness. The figure was lying on the ground, motionless. I approached it slowly, my heart in my throat. As I got closer, I realized that it was a woman. She was dressed in tattered clothes, and her hair was matted and unkempt. Her eyes were closed, and she wasn't moving. I didn't know what to do. I was miles from civilization, and I didn't have a phone signal. I was alone with this woman in the middle of the woods in the dead of night. That's when I heard it, a low, guttural growl. It was coming from the darkness, from the trees that surrounded us. I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead as I realized that I wasn't alone. I turned to run back to my car, but it was too late. Something grabbed me from behind, pulling me back into the darkness. I screamed, but no one could hear me. I was alone with the woman and the thing that lurked in the shadows. I don't know how long I was there. It felt like hours, but it could have been minutes. All I know is that I was terrified and I wanted to go home. Eventually, the growling stopped and the thing that had grabbed me let go. I stumbled back to my car, my heart racing. I got in and drove away as fast as I could, leaving the woman and the thing behind. When I got home, I collapsed onto my bed, exhausted and traumatized. I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, about the woman and the thing that had attacked me. I knew that I would never take a shortcut again.
The night drive. The night was dark and foreboding as we embarked on our journey. My girlfriend Lily sat beside me, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. It was our first visit to her parents' house since we started dating, and I could sense her unease. We had heard stories about the isolated countryside road that led to their home, tales of strange occurrences and eerie encounters. But we brushed them off as mere superstitions, thinking nothing of it as we embarked on our adventure. As we drove deeper into the countryside, the road seemed to stretch on forever, twisting and turning through the thick forest. The headlights pierced the darkness, illuminating the dense trees that stood like silent sentinels on either side. The atmosphere was suffocating, and a chill ran down my spine, despite the heater blasting warm air through the car. Lily's grip on my hand grew tighter with each passing mile. Her once vibrant smile had faded, replaced by a look of apprehension. I tried to reassure her, my voice filled with false confidence, but deep down, I too felt the weight of unease settling upon my shoulders. Something wasn't right. As the clock ticked past midnight, we found ourselves on an unfamiliar stretch of road. The moonless sky cast an impenetrable blackness upon us, leaving us reliant solely on the car's headlights. It was then that we noticed a figure standing in the middle of the road, their silhouette barely visible in the darkness. I slammed on the brakes, and the car screeched to a halt. The figure remained motionless, their features hidden by the inky shroud surrounding them. Fear surged through my veins as I contemplated what lay before us. Who was this person, standing alone on a desolate road at this hour? Summoning what little courage I had left, I opened the car door and stepped out, Lily close behind. We cautiously approached the figure, our footsteps muffled by the dead silence of the night. The stranger turned slowly, revealing a face etched with pain and sorrow. "My car broke down," he said, his voice laced with desperation. "Please, I need help." Compassion welled up within me, overriding the fear that had settled deep in my bones. I gestured for him to hop in the back seat, and we continued our journey. The stranger introduced himself as Ethan, and he seemed genuinely grateful for our assistance. As we resumed driving, a strange fog began to roll in, swallowing the road ahead. It crept closer, enveloping the car in an eerie embrace. Visibility dwindled, and the headlights fought a losing battle against the thick mist. I glanced at Lily, her face pale and filled with trepidation. We exchanged worried glances, silently acknowledging the growing sense of dread that permeated the air. It was then that I noticed the road had become treacherous, filled with potholes and deep cracks. The car jolted violently, threatening to spin out of control. The fog seemed to distort reality, turning familiar surroundings into a haunting dreamscape. Shadows danced in the mist, whispering secrets that sent shivers down our spines. In the midst of this surreal nightmare, Ethan's demeanor changed. His face contorted, a sinister smile spreading across his lips. His eyes gleamed with an unholy light, and a wicked laughter echoed through the car. Panic surged within me, and I swerved to avoid an oncoming tree that materialized out of nowhere. Lily screamed, clutching onto me for dear life. I fought to keep control of the car, my heart pounding in my chest. It was a battle against the unknown, against a force that seemed determined to claim us. With a burst of adrenaline, I pushed the car to its limits, praying for an escape from this nightmare. The fog finally began to dissipate, revealing a familiar landscape. We had arrived at Lily's parents' house. Shaken to our core, we stumbled out of the car, breathing in the crisp night air. Ethan was nowhere to be found, as if he had dissolved into the very mist that had surrounded us. Lily and I exchanged bewildered glances, unable to comprehend the events that had unfolded. Inside the safety of her parents' home, we recounted our harrowing experience, our voices trembling with disbelief. They listened attentively, their faces etched with concern. It was then that Lily's father spoke, his voice tinged with a sorrowful wisdom. "The road you traveled is known as the Devil's Pass," he said, his gaze distant. "It is said to be haunted by lost souls forever trapped in a purgatory of despair. You are lucky to have made it out alive." The realization washed over us like a wave, leaving us breathless. Our visit had transformed into a fight for survival, a brush with the unknown. And though we had escaped the clutches of the Devil's Pass, its memory would forever haunt our souls. From that day forward, we vowed never to venture that road again, forever bound by the terrifying journey we had shared. The night drive had changed us, leaving an indelible mark on our lives. It reminded us of the fragility of our existence and the untold horrors that lurk in the shadows of the unknown.
The Night's Toll. I've always had a fascination with the eerie allure of the night. The darkness cloaks the world in a shroud of mystery, revealing hidden secrets and igniting a sense of adventure within me. But one fateful night, my love for the darkness took a sinister turn as I found myself caught in a spine, chilling tale that still haunts my dreams. It was a moonless night when I embarked on a solitary journey, driving through a desolate countryside road. The only companion I had was the soft hum of the engine, echoing in the silent night. The stars glittered above like scattered diamonds, casting a dim light upon the desolate landscape that stretched out before me. I had been on the road for hours, fatigue beginning to weigh heavy on my eyelids. I knew I needed to find a place to rest, to rekindle my waning energy. The glow of a solitary gas station up ahead promised solace in the darkness, beckoning me towards its comforting light. As I pulled into the station, an uneasy feeling crept up my spine. The place exuded an ominous aura, as if it had been plucked from the pages of a horror novel. The flickering neon lights cast grotesque shadows that danced along the weathered walls. The air hung heavy with an inexplicable sense of foreboding. Ignoring the nagging voice in my head, I parked the car and stepped out into the night. The gas station attendant, a middle-aged man with haunted eyes, greeted me with a weary smile that didn't quite reach his lips. His name tag read Sam.
"Evening,"
he muttered, his voice a raspy whisper.
"What brings you here at this hour?"
"I'm just passing through," I replied, trying to mask my unease. "Need some gas and a place to rest." Sam nodded and began filling my tank, his eyes constantly scanning the surroundings, as if expecting something sinister to emerge from the shadows. I glanced around, realizing I was the only customer. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant howling of the wind. My curiosity piqued. I struck up a conversation with Sam, hoping to unravel the mysteries lurking within this peculiar gas station. But he remained evasive, deflecting my questions with terse responses. It seemed as though he was guarding a sinister secret, buried deep within the bowels of the station. The minutes ticked by, and with each passing second, my anxiety heightened. Something was undeniably wrong. As if sensing my growing unease, Sam finally broke his silence, his voice trembling.
Listen, friend.
He whispered, his eyes darting around nervously.
This place, it's cursed. After dusk, it becomes a hunting ground.
A shiver ran down my spine. I had stumbled upon a nightmare, an otherworldly terror lurking beneath the facade of a gas station. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as Sam's tale unfolded. He spoke of strange disappearances, of people who had stopped here late at night and were never seen again. He recounted how the gas station was built upon an ancient burial ground, and the spirits of the restless dead now sought retribution upon the living. Their tormented souls hungered for eternal rest, using unsuspecting travelers as vessels for their escape. As Sam finished his harrowing tale, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. Echoing through the darkness, panic seized me, and I knew that I was trapped in a waking nightmare. I made a desperate dash towards my car, my heart pounding in my chest. But the moment I reached the vehicle, the headlights died, plunging me into complete darkness. Paralyzed by fear, I strained my ears to detect any movement, any sign of the impending danger that lurked nearby. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper, a chilling voice that seemed to emanate from the shadows themselves.
You cannot escape us. You are ours now.
Terror consumed me as skeletal figures emerged from the darkness, their eyes glowing with malevolence. They reached out with bony hands, grasping at my trembling form, pulling me into the abyss of their nightmarish realm. In that moment, I understood the true horror of this desolate gas station. It was not a haven for weary travelers, but a gateway to a dimension beyond our comprehension. The night had claimed me, and I became just another unfortunate soul lost in its eternal grasp. To this day, the memory of that fateful night continues to haunt me. The night's toll has left an indelible mark on my soul, a reminder that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. So, heed my caution, my fellow wanderers of the night, and beware the allure of the darkness, for it holds secrets that may forever bind you in its embrace.
The night's dreadful passenger. I never had an issue with driving at night. In fact, I found it quite peaceful, the open road stretching out before me like a dark ribbon, the hum of the engine providing a comforting soundtrack. But that night, everything changed. I was cruising along a deserted highway, the only car for miles. The clock on the dashboard read 2:0 a.m. I had just finished a late-night shift at the office and was looking forward to getting home and sinking into my cozy bed. Little did I know that fate had a different plan in store for me that night. As I rounded a bend, my headlights illuminated a lone figure standing at the side of the road. It was a hitchhiker, thumb outstretched, desperately seeking a ride. A shiver ran down my spine, warning bells chiming in my mind, but something about the person compelled me to pull over. I rolled down the window and greeted the hitchhiker cautiously. A gust of wind swept through the night, carrying an eerie chill with it. The stranger, cloaked in darkness, had an air of mystery about them. I couldn't discern their face or features, but their voice carried a sense of urgency. "Thank you," they said, climbing into the back seat. The hitchhiker's words sent a prickling sensation across my skin. But curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled back onto the road, the only sound accompanying us being the tires humming against the asphalt. As we drove on, silence filled the car. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. I glanced at the rearview mirror, but the hitchhiker's face remained hidden, obscured by shadows. I mustered up the courage to speak. "So where are you headed?" The hitchhiker's response sent a chill down my spine. Escape? The word hung heavy in the air. I tried to pry for more information, but the hitchhiker remained cryptic and evasive, deflecting my questions. Unease settled in the pit of my stomach, but I couldn't bring myself to turn them away. Minutes stretched into an hour, and the surroundings grew increasingly unfamiliar. The road twisted and turned like a labyrinth, the dense forest crowding in on us. The atmosphere grew suffocating, and an inexplicable fear wrapped its icy fingers around my heart. Abruptly, the hitchhiker's voice pierced through the silence. Startled, I slammed on the brakes, skidding to a halt on the deserted road. My pulse quickened as I watched the hitchhiker open the door and step out, vanishing into the inky blackness. Panic and confusion swirled inside me, but my curiosity overpowered my instincts. I got out of the car, hesitantly following the hitchhiker's path. Branches scraped against my skin, the forest whispering secrets that I couldn't decipher. My footsteps echoed, and a foreboding sense of danger settled over me like a heavy fog. And then I saw it. A dilapidated shack nestled deep within the woods, bathed in an eerie glow. My heart raced as I approached, the air growing colder with each step. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. I stepped inside, and what I saw will forever haunt my nightmares. The walls were adorned with photographs, each one depicting different drivers, all with expressions of terror etched across their faces. Panic coursed through my veins as I recognized the hitchhiker in each photograph, their face hauntingly familiar. Realization struck like a bolt of lightning. I was just another victim in their twisted game. The hitchhiker had lured me here, enticed me with their desperation, and now I was trapped. As the shack's door slammed shut behind me, a wave of dread washed over me. The hitchhiker's voice echoed from the darkness, chilling me to the bone.
You thought you were giving me a ride, but it was I took you for a journey. Welcome to your nightmare.
That night, the forest swallowed me whole, and the world became a terrifying maze. I fought against the unseen forces, desperately trying to escape, but each path led me deeper into darkness. The shadows whispered malevolently, playing trick on my mind until all hope was lost. And so, I remain here, trapped within the abyss, haunted by the hitchhiker's ghostly presence. My only solace is warning others, hoping that someone will heed my cautionary tale and avoid the night's dreadful passenger. But as long as the roads stretch out into the night, I fear that more souls will be lost to the hitchhiker's malevolent game, forever condemned to wander in the nightmarish realm between the living and the dead.
I appreciate the ride. I'm in a hurry. Anywhere but here. I need to escape. Stop the car,